Frontier has announced some additional bonus content they're gonna add into the 3.3 update, and this is all about the new Thargoid incursion states. And today I'm gonna give you the overview of what it is, and then I'm gonna give you my point of view of how I think it's going to affect the game. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous with Down to Earth Astronomy. This is going to be another talking head video where I'm just going to quickly run over the new incursion states, how they're going to work, how it seems they're going to work, and how I feel like it's going to affect the game based on how it's going to be balanced. I should say that I'm currently recording this before this goes live on the beta, so I have not had a chance to go in on and test this, but by the time this video comes out, this should be available on the open beta so we can go in and test it. So keep that in mind. So first of all, over time, systems are going to be attacked by Thargoids. This in itself does not seem to be a specific state. How exactly this is shown in the system, I'm not sure. Maybe just non-human signal sources begin to show up, so you would need to be to keep an eye on this if you have a home system. I don't know if it's something that's going to show up as a separate state, but to me it seems like that's not going to be a separate state. But they're going to be attacked, and there's going to be Thargoids present in the system. And at first, at this pre-state, it seems to just be scouts and smaller, the easier interceptors that will show up. And the whole point is that players then have to go and kill a number, we don't know that number yet, but a number of ships, of Thargoids in the system. If they're successful, the incursion is avoided. If they're not successful, the system will go into this new incursion state. When that happens, one of the stations in the system will go into the damage state. And each week that this incursion lasts, a new station will be damaged. That means if players don't manage to ward off the attack, a new station every week will be damaged. Now, I'm going to talk about the what kind of effects this can have on the game later, but let's just move on. Also, when we move into incursions, all megaships currently in the system, which there's a lot more of in the 3.3 update, keep that in mind. But all those megaships will be damaged as well. And also stronger Thargoids will begin to appear. So we're probably going to be able to see the more difficult Hydras beginning to appear. And they will probably appear in these new Thargoid conflict zones. Or I think they're called AX conflict zones or something like that. Where you are going to be pitched against waves of Thargoids. So I guess it's something like a wave appears, you kill the wave. Maybe it's just more difficult waves appear over time. And you have to try and kill as many waves as you can, and then you somehow collect points towards either each wave gives you some kind of points that's told up in the background to when you can push the incursion out, or maybe it's just the kills and the whole wave mechanic is just to keep players a fresh supply of stuff to shoot at. The state itself has no maximum length and can, in theory, last for as long as well as you want, as long as people don't kill the Thargoids in the system. They also said that the number of kills varies from system to system. Now, we don't know the exact metric that determines how many ships or how many Thargoid ships you will need to kill. Is this something that would vary on the system size? Is the number of stations? That we don't know yet. But there's a few things here that I find really interesting. Now, we've seen some very similar mechanics already, where people will go to the, I can't remember the name of those. There was these stations, like outposts. People will go to those, and you could follow a trail of information that would lead you to some information about where the next Thargoid was attacked, the next stations that were going to be attacked, and players could go to those systems and try to ward off the attacks. Now, this is often something that requires a lot of players to do. It's not something you can just do with a couple of friends. It seems it's quite a few kills that you will need. And this is what I find interesting, because now that this is being tied into BGS, if you imagine this is something that needs to be both challenging for a small group of players, like if, let's say, you are just 4 or 5 friends, or maybe just 2 or 3 friends, who have a system that's suddenly being attacked by Thargoids. If this is a complete overwhelming force that's just going to completely wreck it, if that's your only system and that station suddenly is damaged, well, that's a very, very difficult task for a small number of players. And this all boils down to the fact that we don't really know at this point how many systems are going to be under attack at the same time. If this, for instance, let's say that it could be 20 or 25 or 50 systems at the same time that could be in this pre-state before the incursion starts, that means that the forces will be spread out. And if that's the case, that it's so common that the Thargoids try to get a foothold in a system, then I would expect it to be fairly easy to ward off an attack. I expect that it would be something that could be done dedicated. If let's say a group of people dedicated work on it for let's say a week, something like that, then you could ward off the attack. But if it ends up being, let's say, just 1, maybe 2 systems that's under this pre-incursion state, then I could definitely see the numbers being a lot higher. But what I then hope is that this new state, before it goes into incursion, is a lot more visible to players so that they know where to go if you want to kill Thargoids. Don't have to go to some third-party site, stuff like that. So it all depends on how many there is. And I personally hope that it's going to be few systems that will then require a lot of players, so that the anti-Xeno community would then have to move around between these different systems that are being under attack. It's a lot like what they've done. It's also called Incursions. That's actually fun in EVE Online. They also have these incursions where pirate factions try to incur, and then you have a huge group of players who move around between these incursions trying to ward off the attacks. I imagine this being a lot like the same thing that could happen here, where we have few potential combat sites at the same time, but they will then have to move around in various areas. And the reason why I think that would be the best way is because if it was so easy that just a group of 2 or 3 friends could ward off an attack, suddenly the Thargoids don't seem so dangerous anymore. Because if just a few commanders can ward off an attack, well, doesn't seem that dangerous to me. So that's why I think that it would work best with fewer systems at the same time, where people have to move around between. And of course, there's also the whole issue with, if it goes to incursion, how many kills is needed to ward off the attack, and also are they going to reduce the repair bill on a station? Because again, same thing here. If a player faction have one of their stations damaged, it's going to be a tremendous task to get that station repaired. It's going to take a lot of time to get that station up and running again. For a small community, unless they get help from the general community. But with the number of stations already damaged and the rate at which they're being repaired compared to the rate at which they're being damaged, I see that being a little difficult, getting those stations up and running in time, especially by a single player faction. Of course, some of the larger player factions would have the players to do it, but some smaller ones where you may only have, as I said, a group of friends, being 5 people maybe, it's going to be a tremendous task to get a station up and running. So what I hope they're going to do, because stations, I mean, you could have potentially all stations in a system completely wrecked. So what I hope they will do is they'll make the pre-incursion states fairly rare. There's going to be that many at the same time, but so they're going to require quite a bit of work to prevent the attack. But if an attack then happens, sure, a lot of negative things happen. Stations are being damaged. I then hope that this is something that a player faction could maybe ward off, let's say, within 3 or 4 weeks, where you would first end the incursion and then spend some time repairing the station. I don't hope that these stations, if that's going to take several months to repair, I hope it's something that a player group would be able to do, like at the average player would be able to do within 2 weeks. Would probably be my my guess at what would be a balance. So, but again, this is all balancing. This is all balancing, and again, we've seen the same thing that Frontier's done in this beta period, which has been absolutely great, where they had some really solid game mechanics, where the ideas behind them is really good. I really like this idea, and all they need to do is tweaking. It's the same thing that's happened with mining. The gameplay, the idea behind it is really good. It needs tweaking, which should also be in this current update as well. They're adding some tweaks to that. And the same thing happened here. So if you're on PC, you can head over to the beta server, and they've put Maya into the incursion state. So if you are down the Pleiades sector, that's where most people keep their Thargoid vessels anyway. Just you're down there, head to Maya and you'll be able to test out this new incursion state in that system to try and see what it is. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see if we're going to be able to ward it off, but at least it'll be an interesting test to do. But anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, I will see you guys in space.